So as the open source lead at Microsoft, we're entering a new market and we're beginning to change the way that we go to market with our cloud services. We're becoming an inclusive cloud services provider. While we're building great first-party services on Azure, open source is a key component as we move forward. And you'll be seeing that more and more as we make significant contributions to the open source community. But our focus at Microsoft is helping organisations change the way that they deliver their services in the market. It's about looking at the digital transformation that's occurring, the digitising of services, looking at those traditional manufacturing services that you see in the market, and thinking about how we can take software and empower people to grow their revenue, reduce their costs, change the time that it takes to execute and get into the market. We're working with an organisation called The Yield. The Yield didn't exist 2 years ago. They saw an opportunity in a $100 million oyster market in Tasmania. The oyster farming community lose up to $30 million a year by desalinisation and chemicals coming in off the farmlands that enter the river systems and the ecosystem where the oysters are actually being produced. They wanted to be able to take a network of sensors and change the outcomes for the farmers so that they could save money, they could save their crops when it rains. So simple heavy rain is going to stop them from being able to produce, and they actually have to take the oysters out of the water. So they turned to the cloud, they turned to machine learning, they turned to Bosch in their partner, and they looked at how they could take operations for these oyster farmers and provide some software to save them up to $3 to $4 million per farmer by using software to predict what sort of desalination rates they're going to have where their oysters were in the rivers. They never invested in any IT infrastructure. They are purely using cloud services for a new business, and like I said, they didn't exist 2 years ago. So when you're looking at the opportunity to go and transform your products, you need to start to think about how does cloud play a part in going to market or potentially augmenting your existing products and services that you have in the market to gain the benefits. Domino's Pizza is another example where they had overflowing inboxes in every store. Their managers couldn't keep up with the alerting. So we helped them by using the cloud to bring information to the times that they were available in a sequential form, just using a cloud service. They've got the ability to empower their employees to get to the data at the right time, but moving away from some of those traditional models, they can now move into an alerting stance where things become priority and they understand the priorities, but they can move away from some of the noise that they have in the market. And then finally, we look at how we're optimising operations. We worked with a supermarket chain, IGA, and they were using our SQL product, which, by the way, is coming to Linux very shortly. But we are working with them around how they can do behavioural analysis of how their customers and their products move through their stores. This is informing their supply chain. This is informing the costs in their supply chain. So as these IGA franchises start to adopt these models out of the head office of IGA, they're able to make significant changes in the way that they go about operating in different suburbs, in different weather, and that behavioural analysis is going to take this. They used the cloud to do it because it was the cheapest onboarding moment for them to be able to land those workloads. So you heard a lot from Forrester around where the market's going. We're seeing significant uptake in the amount of devices that are coming into the market. And by 2020, there's going to be 1 million devices an hour hitting the internet. New devices hitting the internet, should I say. And what that opportunity really gives you is the ability to take all of the data from sensors. Now, that might be user experience from an app on a mobile phone. It may be a temperature sensor on an IoT device. It may be a CCTV camera that's sitting in a local government environment. But the ability for us to look at those devices and understand what data and what business value we can drive from them is really going to need some serious computing and analytics power in the back end. And we're also seeing the age of the S&P 500 corporations change significantly. So we used to have companies that were on the S&P for 70 years, And now they're starting to shrink down, and the average age is 12 years. You look at Uber and Snapchat and Facebook. They didn't exist 10 years ago. They are companies that are scaling to billions and billions of dollars of revenue very, very quickly, and they're disrupting those traditional models, whether that's in news and media, telco, or any of the other traditional industrial industries. And we know that cloud computing is growing. So the prediction is 60% computing in the public cloud by 2025. I think we're going to get there faster. There's always going to be a place for that hybrid data center or hybrid data approach. But the ability to scale and build new products, particularly with the change that we're seeing in the market, is going to drive public cloud further. So we have an end-to-end vision at Microsoft around the cloud. It goes across our Office 365 products, where we're enabling productivity on any device type in the market, whether it's an iPhone, an Android tablet, a Windows laptop, a Windows desktop, all the way through to providing those enterprise resource planning and CRM functionality through Dynamics, securing all of the end devices, whether that's an IoT device, a mobile phone, a meeting hub in a meeting room, providing the security and analytics footprint for all of those operating systems that you manage in your environment, and the applications and the containers, and being able to get a single view of that in your organisation so that you understand what your security posture looks like across your whole technology environment. And then we're building great things with artificial intelligence and bots, and giving you tools so that you can do predictive analytics, and democratizing those services so that you can leverage them. And they're all underpinned by our Azure Cloud Service. We start at the identity. We talk about compute, but we really, really think the strategy for most organizations moving forward is to understand what our platforms are and look at how you can leverage those platforms for your applications moving forward. So there's a huge amount of momentum in the Microsoft cloud space. 715 million daily active users of Azure Active Directory. This is an open standards identity platform. We integrate with not only our services, but all of our competitors or frenemies in the market as well. Salesforce users use it, Google Apps users use it, Microsoft Office 365 customers use it. The identity is becoming the key core component of how customers leverage cloud services, and you need to have consistency across those services with identity. So this is a huge growing market for us. And from a growth perspective, we're seeing phenomenal growth rates around subscriptions on our Azure cloud services. These are developers that are coming onto our platform and leveraging our end-to-end services to go and build apps, whether it's Java or Python or Ruby or PHP or .NET apps as well. So I wanted to do is take you through the 4 key pillars that we're working towards for the Azure cloud, and take you through what our vision for applications